Welcome back everyone. Hi, if you're new, my name is Tori and today I'm going to share with you all of my spoiler-free thoughts on Upgrade by Blake Crouch. This e-arc was kindly sent to me by Penguin Random House and Ballantine books, so a big thank you to them for the opportunity to read and review this book early. I loved it. I think if you are already a fan of Blake Crouch, actually I do think this might be a little bit polarizing for Blake Crouch fans. I think some fans are really going to love this and I think some are just going to come out of it thinking it's okay, but either way I do think most Blake Crouch fans are going to enjoy this. But I do have a lot I want to get into, all spoiler free. Like I mentioned, this novel is out on July 12th of this year, so I think it's definitely one that you should have on your radar if you are interested or if you're already a fan. So let's get into the video. Upgrade is Blake Crouch's upcoming sci-fi thriller slash suspense novel, and there is a lot to love about this book. So I've read, let me put this down, I've read Dark Matter. I've also read one of his earlier works, Run, and I enjoyed the both. I really love Dark Matter. I think at this point Blake Crouch is really well known for Dark Matter and his novel Recursion. I do want to read Recursion before Upgrade comes out just so I can give a better comparison to all three and just see where I would rank the three of them. But in terms of Dark Matter, I think I like Upgrade just a little bit more, just a little bit more. I think the sci-fi themes, I think the overall concept of Dark Matter and the execution of that plot is excellent in Dark Matter. Upgrade is a little bit different. I feel like Upgrade, the tone is a lot more somber, and I think the overarching message of Upgrade is what resonates a little bit deeper with me than something like Dark Matter. So in Upgrade, the book is, I would say, near future. It's not completely futuristic. I think when you pick it up, you'll see that it is a world that is very much recognizable to you. Countries have been devastated by just global disasters, and in the world of Upgrade, gene editing, gene modification is very much a thing, and there's a lot of really advanced and intricate technology behind that was spearheaded by people who are very close to Logan. So we have our main character Logan, and at the very beginning of the novel we find out that he works for this organization called the Gene Protection Agency, and he goes off on this mission, and during the mission, none of this is a spoiler. During the mission, he is caught up in an explosion, and in the aftermath of the explosion, it's discovered that Logan's intelligence is beginning to expand. And in many ways, his mind has been, as they call it in the book, upgraded. And he can just focus on so many different things at once. He can remember everything that's basically ever happened to him, everything that he just glanced over while he was reading when he was younger. He remembers everything, and just really quickly his intelligence begins to exceed normal human intelligence. And so that's one part of the story, but there is a dark side that begins to come with that, and as the book progresses you realize, or you start to learn, a lot of the reasons why Logan has been upgraded. I do think Upgrade is a pretty difficult novel to spoil. You know, wherever you read the synopsis, whether it's on the Dust Jacket or on Goodreads, the story is very much like what you see is what you get. This man, he has been caught up in an explosion, his mind has been upgraded. We really go from there. Like, that is the story. I really love this. There are some really hard science moments in here when it comes to gene editing and modification in DNA, but in, you know, very Blake Crouch fashion that's balanced out really well with all of the suspense that comes in the story. But I feel like Upgrade is something that really resonates with me because there is a really almost intense social awareness that Blake Crouch brings to this story, more so I think than in his other work. It's just, yeah, this book has a really somber nature to it, and almost like this meditative tone to it, where Blake Crouch is exploring the way in which we treat people and the way we respond to different disasters in the world. And I loved it. I think there's just so many great, quiet, and reflective moments in this story that are really timely. And I just think they really hit different in where we are in society right now. So I love that aspect of the story so much, and I think that is why this book is going to stay with me for a really long time. So now let's get into some of the things that I did not really enjoy in the book. And really the biggest thing for me is the dialogue. The dialogue in this it's very stilted, and in a lot of scenes it just feels a little awkward to me, the way that characters are having some of these conversations. But I think a lot of that you can attribute to the fact that Logan's mind is so enhanced and he's so intelligent. There does come a point in the story where Logan does feel pretty intensely removed from just people and the things that are happening in the world, and so his lack of conversation skill, or his, I don't know, his ability to hold conversation definitely reflects that. But even before he was upgraded, some of his conversations were just slightly weird. That might not stick out to a lot of readers, but it's definitely something after a while that I noticed, and it just, some of it felt awkward. So I wasn't the biggest fan of a lot of the moments of dialogue. And there were even some scenes where you know that they're supposed to pack some kind of emotional punch, and just the way that some of the lines are delivered, I was like, yeah, this is not doing anything. It might not bother you as much, but it is definitely something that I noticed, especially as we started getting a little bit later into the book. And then the other thing, this is probably the biggest thing that I just did not love, is the pacing. The pacing it feels very off at a certain point in the story, namely when we get around part 2. At the start of the story is so good, it's so strong. We're right out the gate with the characters, and we're getting some world building happening at the beginning, and we're introduced to the problem, and everything is just moving very intensely and very quickly, and everything is so new and exciting, and we're on the move. And then things take just a slight shift, and part 2 happens, and it's like Blake Crouch pumps the brakes and everything just comes to a halt. It's just the second part of the book just feels very meandering, kind of slow in a lot of places, as Logan is trying to figure out his next moves and where to go and what to do. And yes, I understand that we need moments to figure that out, but it's such a noticeable difference and a noticeable change of pace from how the book started to where it ended up in part 2. So it was a pretty noticeable difference from the first part of the book to part 2. But again, the overall story was so great that I can overlook that now. So we'll move on. And then the last thing that I want to point out, this actually wasn't an issue for me at all, but I can definitely see how this might annoy some readers, especially if you just don't like this happening in your books. Things start happening a little too conveniently as the story goes on. It didn't really bother me because I can just chalk that up to, you know, Logan is super intelligent and he is finding ways to figure these things out. But you know, after the second or third time it happens, I can definitely see some readers being like, okay, that was a little convenient that you just figured that out. But again, it didn't bother me, but I do want to point that out in case that is something that you find to be annoying in books. So it does happen in this, but if you just keep in mind that Logan is super intelligent, then I think you can brush that off too. So yeah, those are all of my spoiler-free thoughts on Upgrade by Blake Crouch. This novel is out on July 12th, and yeah, I really love this. I loved so many of the ideas that were in this book, just about the way that we move in the world and the way that we treat people and the way that we look at just different things that are happening in our society every day, and just all of that kind of mixed with these really intense moments of action and these really big sci-fi concepts like gene editing and gene modification. I think Blake Crouch just handles it all really, really well. And if you're already a fan of Blake Crouch, or if you're curious about this is definitely one to have on your radar or on your TBR for the summer. So that's it for me, you guys. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.